the line of behind us is
In your song Black and Blonde is a mission statement that's pretty good for what you two are together and why you can't be apart together. There's this clear idea that you two are bigger than the sum of your parts together. I have my ideas listening to you for as long as I have about what the parts of the puzzle are that is Nina and Louise. But tell me how you guys fit together. Like, what were you lacking in each other's lives without your opposite energies from each other?
Certainly Louise is a huge motivator in my life, and you know, if it hadn't been for Louise, I would never have become a songwriter or a performer or a front woman in a rock band, because I was writing songs on my own, and I was dreaming always of doing this, but and I talked about it, you know, I'd write about it in my journal or whatever, but I never had I'm not a great self-promoter. I'm very I don't know, I'm uncomfortable with not talking about myself, obviously. But I don't know what it was, but there was no way I would play my demos for anybody, or there was no way.
Really?
No. And so Louise was the one who like got us in the studio to record demos, got us our first gig, like pushed us to move forward. So I'm a procrastinator, and I am like total ADD, and it would not have happened if it weren't for Louise, and that's happened a second time around. I would not be doing any of this if Louise weren't like, you know, the taskmaster. We joke about how I saw in a George Harrison documentary, there's like footage of, I think it's Ringo talking about how he would be like goofing around with John and George at like John's palace out in the middle of nowhere. And they'd all be just like sitting around drinking and goofing around, and the phone would ring, and they'd be like, oh shit, it's Paul, we have to go to work. And sure enough, Paul would be calling and be like, you guys gotta come to the studio and get to work. So Louise is the Paul, she's the Caesar, she's the walrus.
Well, then you would be John. Oh, you wrote Inspiration. That's the most John Lennon song we have.
What did you see in Nina? Or what were you going to say?
What did you see in me?
Did I see it? Man, when I met Nina, I felt like I had found my future, you know? Like, I felt like I found my counterpart. It was so natural. And, you know, she's obviously so smart and so pretty. I heard her voice, and I couldn't believe it. I felt like I'd never been in the same room with such a lovely voice. And then we sang together that first day. We met on a blind date, a musical blind date. A friend of ours said, you guys have to meet. And so I brought my guitar over, and we played each other some songs, and then we sang together, and there was no turning back. Like, I couldn't believe what it sounded like. And I think right then I said, okay, do you want to start rehearsing 3 times a week or 5 times a week? And we just, like, we were very serious from the moment we met about playing music. And I did put her down in front of a 4-track with a mic. She wrote this song called I'm Down, and it was so beautiful. And I said, okay, I'm going to press record. You just sit here and sing into that. But she's too modest. She had already done a lot of work before we met, and there were already a lot of really great songs and a lot of songs in the making. And we pushed each other, you know, and we bounced up, we balanced each other, and we were inspired by one another, and we used each other, I think, as measuring sticks. You know, like, it was a healthy competition.
Until it wasn't healthy.
Until it wasn't. But, you know, it's like having a sister in crime, and we were just really, really excited about the music we had. And very much like Ghost Notes, I felt like we had this really great secret that we were going to unleash on the world one day. And we were working on that, and working, you know, we were going to build a body of work and choose from that. We were honing our sound. We were finding out who we were together. And that, of course, all developed as time went on, and the bands we were listening to, the influences we had, and then the influences that Jim and Steve brought to the party, and how they shaped our band. You know, it all happened very organically. And yeah, it was we just really balanced each other out beautifully, and always have. And with Ghost Notes, I felt the same way. Like, we are working on this thing that we can't wait to play for the rest of the world. You know, it's really felt like it felt like to us in the beginning.
Eyes on You. There's a sense of childhood wonder in it, and it reminded me a little bit of how with David Bowie feels to listen to, which is a song about discovering something for the first time. I was wondering if it's now that you both have kids, or that you're like reconnecting with each other for the first time in such a long time. Like, I see all this possibility. So tell me about that song "Eyes on You," and how was having kids and being exposed to the joy of being back with each other again. It's not angry like it was in the '90s. Your voices are almost smoother today. You still sound like peanut butter and chocolate together. Maybe it's like less grainy, and maybe you're partying less.
Right, it's not chunky peanut butter, it's smooth peanut
Right.
butter.
Oh, well, I wanted to answer the last part of that question more, which was, what is Nina to me? And then I'll move on to the next
please,
part.
please. This is the good stuff.
No, she makes me better.
Uh-huh.
She makes my songs better. She reins in some of my instincts that would just be like instincts gone awry if she weren't there to like hone them and say and curtail some instincts I have. You know, just what's the word I'm looking for? Rein it in and just give me her ideas about songwriting. I mean, she's a masterful songwriter, and that is you know, it. You know, she and her brother, they're both really smart songwriters and always have such incredible ideas. We did a lot of co-songwriting on this album. It really defines this album, much more so than we've done in the past. And Eyes on You, Nina came in with this great, beautiful bridge. The song was just kind of stuck. We didn't have a bridge to elevate it. Of course, a bridge should always elevate a song. Mm-hmm. And Nina went home one night, came back with a gorgeous bridge and a melody. And I think the part you're talking about, you know, it's all kind of wistful and looking back. But the part I'm imagining you're talking about is the part about hopscotch in the driveway after dark. These are the thorns and these are sharks. Protect your hearts. And that is very much about, you know, to some degree about having daughters, and also looking back on our lives and what we were like when we were first together, and you know, the sharks that dug their teeth into us, and we were really like eaten alive by the industry, and no one person in particular, but it was that we were very vulnerable, and we were so eager to play our music for everybody, and we were immediately like thrown to the wolves. Like this band was, there was a rumor, a very prevalent rumor, that it was we were the product of some male marketing scheme, some conspiracy. Like, we couldn't possibly have just come out of our living rooms with these songs. You know, it wasn't possible because we were too threatening on some level. It wasn't okay to have young, talented women in some kind of spotlight without taking off our clothes, which eventually we sort of did. The clothes just kept peeling off. It was short of being strippers, but yeah, there were some sightings, some boob sightings. But anyway, so that was about, you know, getting eaten alive, and looking back and being able to see that clearly, and wanting the girls in our, you know, that are coming on the heels of us and with whom we're, you know, in the industry now, the bands that are coming up, we want them to, you know, look out and be careful, and same for our daughters. We just want the girls to protect themselves.